All right, we are back. Sorry for the delay. I just got some new computer tech and I'm not sure how to use it yet, but that's all right. All right, hi, welcome back to the stream. Today is Wednesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Classic Star Wars reference. I wouldn't call myself a Star Wars aficionado, but that meme plays. So what are we doing? Today's stream is standard protocol. We will be doing our normal routine, which for those of you who are watching for the first time, we're going to be talking about a game that's been on our mind recently that we've been enjoying, talk about a mechanic or two that we enjoy from the game, and kind of dive a little deeper on what specifically about that mechanic works for our brain specifically. Then we'll go into a brainstorming exercise where we will design, or we will have the challenge of adding a random game mechanic into the game that we just discussed. And then we'll finish off with doing another brainstorming exercise of designing a game concept from a randomly generated prompt in 5 minutes. So now we've kicked those things off, let's jump right into it. And so if you're new as well watching live, I structure this so that we can cut up the stream and repost as 3 YouTube videos to watch in a shorter form of content to try and appeal to the masses. So we're setting up for video 1. Make sure, gotta share screens. That was yesterday's concept. That was kind of a poopy concept. What's that? So then now we just do this. Boop, boop, boop. 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 All right. Setting up for video number 1. Hi, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the game Dune Imperium and talking about mainly the multi-use cards and why they're my favorite mechanic in this game. This is not going to be a rules overview or rules teach of the game. I'll link in the description below a really good rules overview of the game so you can figure out if it's a game that's right for you or wrong for you. In today's video, I'm just going to be talking about the deck building cards that are in the game and talk a little bit about why I enjoy them so much. So quick overview, Dune Imperium is based on the Dune IP. And so it's actually taking, like, the art from it is snippets from the actual Dune movie series. So those are pretty cool. But in the game of Dune, you're racing to be the first person to score 10 points. And I'm not exactly sure what they refer to those points as, but it's got a track on the player board, main board where you're working to get 10. And how you do that is by satisfying victory point requirements. That shouldn't, I don't know, that should be in there. But its main 2 mechanics are worker placement and deck building. And so it's played over either 10 rounds or first to get to 10 victory points. And so that's the general premise. And the reason I like these cards so much is there's 3 purposes that each card is really serving. And so if we look at like the Signet Ring is a starting card for all players. And so if you look that right here, you have sort of these symbols on the side, you have this top ability and this bottom ability. So on your turn, what you're doing is you're playing a card and placing one of your workers. And at the start of the game, everyone only has 2 workers. And the locations that the workers can go into are dictated by these symbols here on the side. And so you're getting 2 benefits when you play a card with a worker. You're getting access to the locations as well as whatever the bonus is in the white section of the card. And then the other part of the game is after everyone passes for the round, the cards that are left in your hand, you'll be able to take the bottom effects of the cards that are left in your hand. So that blue section of all the cards that you've left in your hand is what you'll gain during your passing turn. And so a lot of times this will be used for this finite currency that you can use to buy new cards from the market row, which there's a thick deck. This is with 2 expansions. And so there's a lot of different abilities and deck crafting potential. But that is sort of the core concepts that these cards are, or the two features that these cards provide. And so the convincing argument is clearly one that is only meant to be kept in your hand for the reveal. A lot of the starting cards are fairly basic, where they don't have much going for them. This is part of the newest expansion, the Immortality expansion, where they introduce a way to genetically modify some of your units, which is pretty cool. But today I'm focusing on just the multi-use card abilities in the game. And the reason I like them so much is because at the start of the round, you clearly can tell, like if this was my 5-card hand, it's like, okay, I know I can't go to the blue space this round, but then you have to balance, you know, what locations you're looking to place out workers in versus what cards are you looking to keep in your hand for that powerful reveal turn. And so we wouldn't want to pass right away because we have the Seek Allies card, which starts in everyone's hand, which gives you access on the 4 influence tracks. But that whole decision space of trying to puzzle through which cards you're going to play to take the benefits and go to the locations versus which ones you're going to try and hold on to for the end of the round is a really fun decision space that's ongoing, because I might be thinking of going to the orange triangle space because there's a space that has a ton of helium, but you know, the player before me just went there. So now it's like, okay, do I actually want to hold on to this to be able to add one of my troops into that genetic modifying pool? And so that puzzle of always thinking about there's not a clear answer of, oh, I keep this round, play this round, is something that actually inspired my own game, Everstone, and helped lead the direction for some of the multi-use cards that can be found in my game. And so I'd love to hear in the comments below what your favorite mechanic is in Dune Imperium, or if you like the multi-use cards as well, is there a specific card that is your favorite in the game? My favorite, if I can find it quickly, always gets trashed by all the players that I play with. And this is going to be great content while I sporadically search for the card that I'm referring to, because I am very committed to this bid at point. All right, so this one right here, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but it's a Bene Gesserit card, and it's an expensive cost up here. Still getting used to the mirror. To actually purchase, because you need to have 8 of the blue tokens at the bottom during your reveal turn to be able to buy it. But it basically gives you access to having a 3rd worker without having a 3rd worker, and allows you to draw a card. So it's a very powerful card that I've managed to get in 2 or 3 plays of Dune Imperium that I've really enjoyed playing with. I'd love to know what some of your favorite cards are in Dune Imperium as well. So hope you have a good one, and I look forward to talking with you guys soon. Bam. Video 1 down. All right. We totally just messed up the start. Okay. Starters. We might be missing a starter. So that's 5. Nope, just can't count. Boom. We're done with video 1. Moving into video 2, we will be taking Dune Imperium and adding a random game mechanic into it. So we will reset, brush the hair, just get out the snots, drink some water, and then begin with video 2. All right. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and in today's video, we are going to be taking Dune Imperium and having to brainstorm adding a random game mechanic into it. How might we do that, you ask? Well, if we switch screens real quick and populate the 2 windows, we have our wheel of choices up in the right corner, and we need to present. Boom. Hopefully that's sharing. All right, boom. So if you look in the top right of the screen, we have this wheel that is populated with 60 different game mechanics from Board Game Geek. And we are going to spin it, and whatever concept that it lands on, we're going to have 5 minutes to try and fit that into Dune Imperium. So we got pattern building. Pattern building. Pattern building as a mechanic is just like it sounds. Like, the goal is to set certain patterns, basically generated to you for, your matching patterns. So why are we not showing? Maybe, I know we always got to click back into that. There we go. Pattern building into Dune Imperium. And so, oh man, why is this being wonky? All right, we'll just stay in this screen for now. It's not going to make a difference to you. It's only going to matter on my end. But what we'll do now is we'll pull up our phone and set a 5-minute timer. And we'll start that. We got 5 minutes to try and ideate how we might get pattern building into Dune Imperium. And so I think what I would lean into is we have the main board here, and you have the influence tracks that is broken into 4 sections. We have sort of that High Council spot. We have in the basic game the Solari exchange. We have the victory point track up here. And then we have the battlefield down here with the 4 different regions. And then we got all of these worker placement spots. Do I remember? Maybe there's 8. I don't know. And then in here we have the boon for what your rewards are for first, second, and third in the combat section. And so I think this is where I would focus on adding the pattern building. And so if we zoom out on one of these cards, I don't know if I have them. Oh, we do. Boom. So the conflict cards are where I add the pattern building into. And I would say that, so a simple conflict card structure looks like this, where there is the reward for first, the reward for second, and the reward for third. Let's just undo that really quick. Put that line where it should be. And what we would be modifying to here is potentially a way to add in bonus troops if you match the symbol requirement. And so the swords, it would be, so we would get, say, 4 extra troops this round if on the cards that we played we had at least 1 green, we had 2 blue, and 1 infinity, I think. So I think this would be where we'd be focusing on the pattern building in this brainstorm. And so let me just get back so I can see what we're showing. And so, yeah, I think I'll pause it there because I don't want to be scared by our timer. But to recap, what our challenge was to add pattern building into Dune Imperium. And so there's plenty of ways that you could add the pattern building into, but the first thought I had was the conflict cards that are flipped every round to determine what the rewards are for winning the battle that goes on here. Felt like a natural place for us to add this pattern building element. And so when a card is flipped, there would be a symbol requirement to, or not requirement, but there'd be a bonus for if you matched the symbols for the round, you'd get this additional strength in combat would be the reward for, you know, matching that pattern. And so how this would work is when we'll go to full camera for this. When a conflict card is revealed, down here, there would be shown what the symbols are, and it would show how much additional troops you'd get in combat. And so then you'd be able to look in your hand and we would tailor it to sort of the first rounds being, because would it be better to do on the reveal section? I don't know. We'll talk through the concept that we have and then weigh the pros and cons at the end. But if this would probably be a level 2 or level 3 conflict, as I can show real quick, there are different tiers of the conflict cards, which as the game, I'll hold them here. So as the game goes on, there's level 1, 2, and 3. The rewards for what you'll gain in the conflict become better. And you can actually see how the swords get bigger. I have not gotten used to this mirrored effect yet, but that's okay. And so on each conflict card, like if a level 2 one is, to be able to achieve it, you would have to have 3 cards played out. So in our example, we needed to have a pentagon in 2 circles, which is here. And then we needed to have the Infinity Alliance, which we'd have here. So if we were able to play these 3 cards out during our placing agent phase in the game, we would be able to add 4 strength into battle if we had units in combat. And so that is my initial brainstorm for how we'd add pattern building into Dune Imperium. How I'd go about testing it is I would probably come up with 2 pattern matching goals for each level of conflict. I'd probably come up with 3. So I'd come up with 2 or 3 for each, and I would then try and balance them by adding more troops. And that would be how all I'd need to do to test this. And then the next time we played Dune Imperium, I'd explain, hey, there's a little pattern building mechanic that I want to just test proof of concept. And if the group I was playing with was interested in trying that out, I would explain. I wouldn't modify these cards. I'd create just a new deck and then flip and stagger them just to not ruin the game. But if I got consent from the table, that would be how I go about adding pattern building into Dune Imperium. I'd love to hear what concepts you come up with for pattern building in the comments below. So feel free to, if this prompt gave you inspiration or an idea, I'd love to hear it. And I look forward to engaging with you there. Bye-bye. Yeah, I did switch the camera. It's helpful in editing because then everything's the right way. But I think I'm going to grab over here on the screen and it's actually over there. Classic looking at yourself in a mirrored, non-mirrored setting. But all right, we are done with that. So I will just move all of Dune Imperium off to the side. And we will jump into the last segment of today's live stream. I hope everyone's having a great... Did I say it was Wednesday at the start? I think it's... my brain's cooked. It's Thursday. We're heading to a taco event later today, which I'm super excited for. And so in our area, they have these, I think it's 90 restaurants on Main Street that have this taco event where you can get a bunch of different tacos for $3 a piece. So that'll be fun. All right, let's set up for the last video. Stop rambling, Sam. All right, boom. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and in today's video, we are going to be designing a game in 5 minutes or less. How are we going to do that, you might ask? Well, if we jump over to our second OBS setup. Oh goodness, our screen stopped sharing. That is silly. Let's start sharing again. Accept. All right. And if you look in the top right of the screen, you will see that there is this segment or there's this tool from letsmakeagame.net, and they have this idea generator, which will give you a genre, rule setting, and theme as a prompt to potentially design around. So what we're going to do, oh God, why do we stop sharing? No, we're good. Tablet's being a little funky today. But as I was saying, oh, buggers. We'll try one more time and then figure it out from there. All right. Hopefully the connection stays for a little longer. But what we are going to do is we are going to generate a game prompt and then set 5 minutes on the clock for us to have as a time constraint. And at the end of the 5 minutes, we'll recap what we came up with for a game design. So we're going to rush so that the tablet doesn't disconnect again. And so we will generate, we got a city builder. The rule is limited capacity. The setting is antiquity. And the theme is immortality. So we'll start the 5 minutes, jump back into our tablet screen and begin. And so this prompt is a little kind of pretty easy. That, you know, city builder, okay, everyone has a limited capacity, so it's potentially a tile placement game, and because it's a city builder, potentially you can build up on the grid. But we've already achieved our city builder limited capacity, antiquity, and immortality. And so potentially you're trying to build. All right, well, screen share is connecting. Our tablet doesn't seem to want to work today. Maybe it has some updates that it needs to go through. But we will jump into full camera and power through. All right, so we had, I will just generalize notes down here. So we got city builder. As soon as I get this set up too, the timer is going to go off and scare me. Limited capacity, antiquity, and immortality. And so my thought process was that you'd have a grid of 9, and the goal would be that you have to, so city builder, how do you add city builder and immortality? I'd love to know what you think in the comments, because my brain is not connecting the two today. My first thought is that here, we'll draw and then show off. But is that you would have some sort of grid, and potentially you would be looking to create an environment where you become immortal. And so in the center of the grid, that would be you. And potentially there are powers that each character has, or each player has. And you would be trying to place tiles out that create some sort of loop. And so you'd have your tiles out there that maybe chain from one to another, and this would trigger an action. And then from that action, what we got in the comments? An ancient city that stood the test of time. That is a better idea that I have currently, Mick. And so my thought was that you'd be kind of chaining these actions, and your goal is to keep your character alive for the round, and the goal would to be infinite, where I think everyone would have these different resource tracks. This is going to be an interesting way of doing it, but you'd have these influence tracks here. That's not going to work because my little sketches are coming out wonky, but there'd be potentially 3 influence tracks that you're trying to balance, and the person who can create an engine that keeps them maxed out for one full round becomes the winner, because you've entered that immortal state. And so how this would go is there'd be 2 phases in the game, or 3 phases in the game, and in the first phase you would be setting up your action chain, or drafting your action chain. Second phase of the round would be running your action chain, or placing your action chain. And then the third would be running your action chain, where everyone would kind of in turn sequence be going into a loop to see if they can keep their engine of immortality going infinite. So we got 30 seconds. I'm probably going to call it there because our tablet is being a little poopy. But our goal for this design challenge that we managed to struggle through was, we had a prompt of a city builder as our genre. The rule was limited capacity. The setting is antiquity, and the theme is immortality. And so our thought, sorry for hitting the mic. I'll cut that. I'll cut it. All right. Resetting. So our challenge for this video that we had to struggle through due to tablet malfunctioning is, we were prompted with designing a city builder concept that has limited capacity with a antiquity theme and an immortality theme and a antiquity setting. Yeah. And so all we were able to come up with today is that there was some sort of tile placement where you'd be adding in actions that would be some sort of engine for balancing these 3 resource tracks. And so we didn't really get too far in this one, so I'd love to hear in the comments below if you were able to get further with this design concept. And if you probably don't want to subscribe after this video, but if you like the concept of designing games in 5 minutes, I post these videos every Friday, so feel free to subscribe, because I promise the next one will have less glitches. But I hope you have a great day, and I hope to hear from you soon. What are you gonna do? Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. All right. Thank you for joining in today, Michaela, and anyone else that is watching in the background. We'll look into our tablet and be back better than ever tomorrow. So I look forward to talking to you all then.